We've got to look at spending, both on non-security issues as well as defense spending. And then what we've said is, let's take another $1 trillion of that we raise through reforms in the tax system that allows people like me, and frankly you, Mark, for paying a little more in taxes. I'm cool with that. I know you're okay with that. Keep in mind, what we're talking about is going back to the rates that existed when Bill Clinton was president. Now, a lot of you were I'm trying to say this delicately, still in diapers at that time, but for those of you who recall, the economy was booming, and wealthy people were getting wealthier.
President Obama did a town hall at Facebook headquarters today in Palo Alto, California. Palo Alto is where he was geographically. Politically, where he was on offense. Watch the president answer this question from a Facebook employee about whether or not the Republicans' Paul Ryan budget thing is as bold or as brave as lots of the media have been giving it credit for. Watch the president here go from the personal to the political.
The Republican budget that was put forward, I would say, is fairly radical. I wouldn't call it particularly courageous. I do think Mr. Ryan is sincere. I think he's a patriot. I think he wants to solve a real problem, which is our long-term deficit. But I think that what he and the other Republicans in the House of Representatives also want to do is change our social compact in a pretty fundamental way. Their basic view is that no matter how successful I am, no matter how much I've taken from this country, you know, I wasn't born wealthy. You know, I was raised by a single mom and my grandparents. I went to college on scholarships. There was a time when my mom was trying to get her PhD where for a short time she had to take food stamps. My grandparents relied on Medicare and Social Security to help supplement their income when they got old. So their notion is, despite the fact that I've benefited from all these investments, my grandfather benefited from the GI Bill after he fought in World War II, that somehow I now have no obligation to people who are less fortunate than me, and I have no real obligation to future generations to make investments so that they have a better future. So what his budget proposal does is not only hold income tax flat, he actually wants to further reduce taxes for the wealthy, further reduce taxes for corporations, not pay for those, and in order to make his numbers work, cut 70% out of our clean energy budget, cut 25% out of our education budget, cut transportation budgets by 1/3. I guess you could call that bold. I would call it short-sighted. On their basic theory is that if we just turn Medicare into a voucher program and turn Medicaid into block grant programs, then now you, a Medicare recipient, will go out and you'll shop for the best insurance that you've got, that you can find, and that you're going to control costs because you're going to say to the insurance company, this is all I can afford. That will control costs, except if you get sick and the policy that you bought doesn't cover what you've got. Then either you're going to mortgage your house or you're going to go to the emergency room. What they want to do is to push the costs of healthcare inflation onto you. So yes, I think it's fair to say that their vision is radical. No, I don't think it's particularly courageous, because the last point I'll make is this. Nothing is easier than solving a problem on the backs of people who are poor or people who are powerless or don't have lobbyists or don't have clout. I don't think that's particularly courageous.